Nowadays in top flight football, we are seeing more and more of these modern, new, soulless, bowl-like stadiums being built. But luckily for ground enthusiasts like myself, and I'm sure many of you guys watching at home, there are still so many interesting grounds to be found at non-league level. And so today I've compiled a list of my best 10 non-league stadiums that are unique, interesting, and that I'd recommend you visit. Let's get into it. Now in 10th place on this list is Tesco FC's Tomlin Personal Park, which is based in Nottinghamshire and has a capacity of around 2,000 people. Now the main feature of this ground, which went viral a couple of years ago on the internet, is that their stand behind the goal was a former Tesco trolley park. Now it may seem stupid at first, but you can see in the pictures it provides great cover. It's pretty big, so a lot of people can fit underneath it, and I'm sure it was cheap, if not free as well, because Tesco were probably throwing it away. So I must say, hats off to Tesco and fair play to them, because they've made a great use of resources there, especially in non-league where extra cash can be hard to come by. At number 9 we have Peckham Town FC with the Menace Arena, and this ground is another one that went viral online not too long ago as well, because they are home to the self-proclaimed world's smallest football stand. Now this, as you can see behind me, probably can fit, I'd say, maybe 5, 6, even 7 people in it. It's located by the corner flag of their stadium, which is on the outskirts of Peckham in South London, and I think it's a really clever way of the ground, probably attracting quite a few new people who never would have gone to a Peckham game before otherwise, and I think it's a novel thing to have in the Menace Arena. At number 8 we have one of my favourite grounds on this list, which is one that I've personally visited before, and that is Hallam FC's Sandygate, which is located up north near Sheffield, and this is the oldest football ground in the world still surviving, and that's a record confirmed by the Guinness Book of World Records as well. Now this ground was originally opened in 1804 and has been used by Hallam all of their existence. The first inter-club game in the world between Sheffield FC, the world's oldest football team, and Hallam FC took place at this ground in 1860, and ever since it's also been shared with the Hallam Cricket Club. There's a infamous sloped pitch. It's a really large playing area because of course you've got to have the space for cricket as well, and they've got a nice clubhouse which is built into their main stand. It's a ground packed with history and one that I would recommend visiting. Next up at number 7 is Newcastle Town's Lim Valley Stadium, and as you can see, the first thing that you're probably going to be spotting around this ground is that they've got a massive track around the stadium. But unlike other non-league grounds where they have running tracks, this one around the pitch is a velodrome, which is a special sloped track for cyclists. The ground has a capacity of 4,000 people, is shared with cyclists who are based in Newcastle, and they probably pay the club something to use the track as well, so it's probably an extra little bit of revenue too. At number 6 on the list we have Cadbury Athletic FC's Cadbury Recreational Ground, and you may be thinking, hold on, Cadbury, I think that's a chocolate brand, and you'd be absolutely right, because this ground, based in Birmingham, is just next door to the Cadbury World Museum / Experience / Cadbury's Chocolate Factory. Now, the main stand that you can see was built in 1902. It's a beautiful stand, and the ground has always throughout its history been used for cricket, but in the late 90s Cadbury's Athletic FC was formed, and they played there on and off until 2021, where they made it their permanent home. It has a capacity of around 1,500, and it must be a scenic place to watch a football match. We're halfway through, and at number 5 on the list we have FC United of Manchester's Broadhurst Park. Now, you may have heard of this club before, not to confuse them with Manchester United FC, because they were actually formed by supporters who deflected from Man United after the Glazers' controversial takeover in the mid-2000s. They built their own club up from the ground, owned by the supporters, run by the supporters since 2005, and they've now grown into a semi-professional football team. They've gone on a rapid rise up the non-league pyramid. They're averaging around 1,500 to 2,000 people per game, and in the mid-2010s they built this stadium, Broadhurst Park, which is a fantastic one, especially for the level. It's got the ability to expand if they do go on further up to the National League and then of course into the Football League, and it has a capacity of 4,700. Next up at number 4 we have Marine AFC's Rosette Park. Now this is another one built in the early 1900s, 1904 to be exact, and it has a capacity of 2,150. and this ground actually went viral back in 2021 when Marine hosted Tottenham Hotspurs, yes, the Premier League club, in the FA Cup. It was a game broadcasted on the BBC, and it was during COVID as well, so there was lots of people watching on the TV at home. Now, some of the things that people found funny about this ground were that, of course, one of the sides, the long side opposite the main stand, backs on to people's gardens. So it meant that people were coming out of these houses and watching the game from their back garden, and of course lots of balls were going over too, and so the club have got the numbers of each of the houses corresponding to sort of where they are situated on the netting, so if a ball does go over the net, then the ball boys know where to go round and whose door to knock on to get their ball back. At number 3 on the list, we're getting close to the end now, is Great Yarmouth Town and their Wellesley Recreation Ground. Now, this is another one built all the way back in 1892, and it has a capacity of 3,600. It has a running track around it, which is a sort of minus 3 points from me, if you know what I mean. I'm not a fan of those running tracks, but their main stand does boost them up again. Now, this main stand dates all the way back to the 1800s, and it was given the Grade 2 listed status in the year 2000 by the English Heritage Trust. It was all restored back last year after £1 million of funding was given to the club, and I must say it does look in great shape, and it's one that is on my list to visit in the future. At number 2 we have Buxton FC. Yes, the place where they get the Buxton water. It's their ground, Silverlands, which is the highest ground above sea level in the UK. It's located in the Peak District and has a capacity of around 5,200 people, and it's an old one again, being home to Buxton since 1884. As I said, it's the highest ground in the UK above sea level, sitting at 310 metres or 1,020 feet above sea level. So if you're up there, it's going to be cold, so make sure you don't forget your coat. And at number 1 on the list, down by the south coast, it's Lewes FC with the Dripping Pan. Now, this ground has been one of my favourites in non-league for some time. It was given to Lewes FC in 1885, so another one that's over 100 years old, and it has a capacity of around 3,000 people. Now, this ground, before it was a football stadium, was an excavation pitch which was used to dig up salt to sell, hence the grass banks and the big slopes around the stadium. And these slopes, you can see, are actually used by the players when they come out of the dressing rooms, walk down onto the pitch. It quite literally is down onto the pitch. They are going down a hill. Being by the south coast, the ground also has beach huts, which makes it really unique, which the fans can go in to watch the game. And in the main stand, the seats were taken using red leather from Wembley Stadium seats. It's a ground with a lot of history, a lot of detail, and a really unique one capping off this list. Well, there we go. Those are my top 10 uniquest stadiums in non-league football in England, and I really hope you have enjoyed watching this video. And I hope it's given you a couple of ideas as well as to where you want to go next to watch a game of football. If you did enjoy watching, please make sure to like, subscribe, share and comment, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.